So I'm gonna sit there. There. Thank you. It's a live stream. It's the weekend. This is my regular scheduled streaming time. Hi. I have my massive cup of coffee. No Cheetos today. I mean, no twisties. I'm not going to choke on anything. Hey, Dragonlord. Hey, Ricky. How's it going? Hey, guys. Nice to see you. Alex, how's it? Hey, Aaron. Hey, Crimson Wolf. Great White Sage. Let's see. I've got the competition. The art competition is hot on my mind. Upcoming vids, which I'm going to be talking about. For those of you who aren't patrons, who haven't seen the upcoming schedule and things, and also those of you who are patrons, just announcing videos that I'm going to be making soon. The fly? There is no fly. Oh, the fruit fly. Nice. They would probably be tasty, actually. I don't know if they taste like anything at all. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Richard. Other things I'm going to be talking about today are role-playing games, and me running role-playing games in the upcoming future. Publishing stuff as well on the publishing things. Nice to see you, nice. Do you know where that comes from, Stephen? Check your age. That's a Bruce Forsyth quote, that is. Hey Caleb, I'm just covering that. You're going to start a YouTube D&D YouTube channel. Any advice? Yeah, I've got heaps of advice. Hey Keith, nice to see you. I was wondering if you're going to catch me today, Keith, because we were talking before. So yeah, publishing stuff, and I'm also going to talk about Wizards of the Coast and their attitude towards the lore of the game and things, which I find infinitely fascinating. And how people who get upset about certain things about the company are probably wrong in some regards, and also talking about how to catch up on what the company is doing, and what the direction of the game is going, what you should be watching, what you shouldn't be watching, so to speak. Axma, right? Oh, for DMs and players with disabilities, cool. Yep, that's a good market for that, for sure. Is that all kinds of disabilities? Hey Dan. History and stuff. Yep, good. Yeah, it has been a while. So the first subject to talk about is the competition, the art competition. So yeah, no, it's dark and stormy weather outside. You might occasionally hear a gust of wind or something hammering against the side of my little brick house here. So in the background there, just in the corner of the shot, is the picture that I posted for people to colour in if they want to participate. So the winner of that competition will be decided by vote. I'm hoping to get like at least 20 people submitting coloured in pictures of that. I've already had one, which is a very strong contender. That it was basically a professional illustrator that submitted it within a couple of hours of me posting that. Which is just riotously amazing. Oh, okay. That's a good idea, Ricky. Yeah, D&D is very good for that because it's, you know, the theatre of the mind. Hey, Stim. Stim Patch. Nice. Been catching up on all your videos for about 5 months. Yeah, there's quite a backlog of videos. Sorry about the sound quality on the earlier videos. Well, that's another thing to talk about too. About to go into a campaign as Dungeon Master the first time. Good. Excellent. I love to hear that. You do? Nice. So yeah, so that competition is up and running. It's going to be running for like 2 weeks, but I may extend it if I don't get enough entries in it. And then I'll basically make a video showing with a montage of all the different designs along with a number. And people will basically vote on the number that they like the most in the comment section underneath. or possibly as a poll on the community tab on my channel as well. So we'll narrow it down to the standout favorites, and then the winner essentially. I should mention, by entering into this competition, you do agree that your artwork will be going on hoodies and stuff for the channel. That was the basic idea behind it. It's clearly stated in the competition. That's what's going to happen. So, oh, good. Okay, I won't say sorry then. 45 minutes. Yeah, the latest video was 45 minutes. I'll be talking about it in a minute. Geo. So yeah, essentially the artwork will be going on products that you can buy, and the black and white one as it is will also be available on products and stuff as well. It costs me nothing to produce the designs for that, so I'll have a range of different things available so you can order whatever merchandise you want. But essentially I wanted a range of merchandise that people could have could support the channel and wear a cool piece of artwork, and I think that's a suitably cool piece of artwork. And I'll also be producing other stuff as well. So there's other things up and coming. It's not that much to color in really. I mean, most of the background is kind of a homogeneous background dungeon color. There's some little details of mushrooms and things like that, but the idea is that if you do the beholder, the dragon it's a black dragon, so it's not that complicated. You might want to do individual shading and things like that on scales and things if you want to get really into it. The beholder is pretty much a homogeneous whatever beholder color. You're not really restricted on whatever color that you want to make a beholder. The I-beams probably best to be like a couple of different colors, and yeah, and just sort of they stand out if the background color is sort of a more sepia toned. So yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it. Oh, as in geo, as in like ology. Good. The images, you can see it on the community tab, and I also put links to a, I think it's a photo bucket where I've got the full version of it. It's not a professionally scanned version of it. It doesn't really matter overly much. Cool. Well, Stim, you can always play online. There's heaps of people who play via Roll20 or various other things, and there's people who play on the Discord server who use the Discord server as their voice chat, and they use Roll20 to do all the game mechanics and stuff. And I'll occasionally tune in and listen to usually the tail end of their games as well, if I can. Hey, Reclaimer. Colby. Starting a D&D club, any advice? All you need is the basics. I would just do simple little, like, if you're in school, you've probably got enough time to run a fairly long campaign if you're doing it every week. And you just basically design it around how much time you've got to play each day and how many players. You may want to do some the role-playing, the RPGA events, which are really designed for that sort of thing if you've got a club. If it's just a few people, then you can run your own game. If it's a large amount of people, then you could probably run several tables running the same adventures. The Discord link is available on the description of most of my recent videos. So if you go there, there'll be a link which will join you up to the Discord channel. Not much, Reclaimer. Yes, you can certainly have your daughter color it for you. Is my homebrew stuff not there? Maybe. So the most important thing is the club's name. Oh, okay. Let's see. The School Basement. That'll be a good name for a D&D group. Cool. Yeah, well, playing Theatre of the Mind is there's nothing wrong with it, really. I do that most of the time myself. Even though I have enormous collections of miniatures and terrain and things, I still play Theatre of the Mind quite a lot, particularly recently. And now that I've got all my stuff packed away because I'm going to be moving soon, yeah, theatre of the mind it is. Although I recently found that I have heaps of dungeon tiles, like those printed out ones. Thanks, Grant. Nice to see you. So yeah, that yeah, satanic panic. Pfft. Well, these days, identity politics panic. Don't get too offended if I don't get too worked up about whatever controversy is going on at the moment. I've lived through worse. It'll pass over. It'll blow over. So upcoming vids, I've got one on the Marilith, which is coming up soon. I'm going to be working on that this afternoon, actually. Last night I uploaded, or the night before I uploaded a 45-minute long video which details everything that you could possibly want to know about centaurs. Because I had a long-standing request to do a video on centaurs, and I quite like them. So that's crossed off the list. I'm going to be crossing off a few which aren't on anybody's request list, but I'm just basically polishing off everything that's in the monster manual. So I want to get the monster manual completed by the end of this year, maybe. How would I use the Saurosaurn in a campaign? It's a mega coffee cup. I would use them as they're written, basically. The Saurosaurn have been invented for 5th edition, so they're pretty much however you use them and however you make them. And I'm looking forward to people using them in adventures that they publish up on the DM's Guild and stuff. You always play with dice and pencil. I mean, I've played every way that there is to possibly play, and I can't say that anything is any more like the advantage of playing just theatre of the mind is that you can play anywhere, particularly these days when you can have everything on a tablet, and the advantage of having things like terrain and miniatures and stuff is that it's very clear and easy to see what's going on. There's also advantages to having a grid on your map or no grid on your map. I find that when you're not playing with a grid, you move and behave differently in the game, and you feel a lot more free in where you move and what you do. So characters will attempt to do more acrobatic and gymnastic stuff. So they will swing from chandeliers and things like that. They don't feel as restricted and hemmed in by statistics and strategy. A lizard folk druid, I think they're a natural for playing druid, for sure. What druid circle are you thinking of using for your lizard folk? Oh, I see. You put the central in there simply to show the characters that they could die. Yeah, I do that on occasion. Rot and decay of the swamp. Circle of the spore. Nice. Yeah, that's the other thing too. It is a skill just like anything else. Some people are better at describing things than others. Yeah, you could do that as well. So I will be planning some adventures and things like that, and I really want to illustrate some adventures maps and things. So just continually expand my illustration skills, get back into it. And so I might get some feedback from you guys about what sort of adventure that you'd like me to write for you. What sort of setting, what sort of level, that sort of thing. Maybe start off with just like some first level adventures. I've also got a review copy of Tome of Horrors as well, so I'm going to be looking at some of the monsters from there. In particular, the thing that captivated me the most, and thanks Keith for sending me this, the thing that captivated me the most is all the different bugs, the beetles and things which are in there, because they're really, really good for low level play. Yeah. I do have some cartography advice actually. So when you're doing a map of an area with cities and towns and things on it, don't bother drawing in all of the buildings, because you're only going to use a few of those in your map. And it doesn't really, like, the players aren't going to point it and go, I go to this particular building here. That just doesn't happen. You say you're on a certain street or something like that, and then you narrate what's going on the street, and then they say, oh, I'm going to go in that building, and then you just drop in whatever building you need them to go into. You don't map out every single building with every single shopkeeper and all the contents and all whatever trade is available and things like that. You have districts and stuff that you keep basic notes on. And that's about it. So your map doesn't need to be highly detailed. It can even just be an outline of where the city district is, and then all the buildings and things like that are just like, then you slip into a sort of a theatre of the mind, or you transfer it to the table where you're talking about individual streets and things. So you don't need to illustrate every single building in a city or town. Same sort of thing with the forest. You don't need to have exact locations of where things are in forests unless distances are very important. But even so, they can be pretty rough. So the general direction and location of things is all you really need to worry about. If something is in a forest, you can just go, boonk, inside this forest is blah. You don't need to pinpoint exactly where it is on the map. Goblin demons, so goblins infested with chaos stuff. I love it. I love that idea. All right, Justin. Thanks, man. Circle of the Spore, yeah. Must be a homebrewed thing. So the Spelljammer thing was in the fireside chat that the basically the boss, the director of the D&D branch of Wizards of the Coast of Hasbro. So he's the one. It's not Mike Moyles and those guys who decide which direction the game is going to go. It's that particular guy who decides what products are going to be made, and then Moyles and co are in charge of the creative side of writing that. And they have others who they consult who have information about the lore of the game and the history and things like that, and which direction they want to take things. But they're not the ones who actually decide what products are made. And the two main guys who decide what products are going to be made, he's answering questions on his thing on the fireside chat. And the picture that I posted in the community chat was the exact moment where he said, "Spelljammer, yes or no?" And the other guy looks over and says at the camera, he says yes. So they don't give any details about what exactly or when or how or what the product is going to be. All he did was confirm that they are going to be including more Spelljammer stuff in 5th edition. That's it. So speculation may run riot about what exactly that is. People may speculate, but they haven't released any details. Yeah, Deathwatch beetles are cool. So there's all sorts of different beetles. The other thing that was really good in the Tome of Horrors was the chromatic boulets. You know, the land sharks. They've got different different colors of boulet, which I thought was fascinating. It's a great idea. So not only are you facing a land shark, but now you're facing a specialist type of land shark. Thanks, Dragonlord. Yeah, so people seem to like those videos where I talk about ecologies and things like that. There's going to be more of those coming up because I really enjoy writing the scripts and narrating that sort of stuff. There's also going to be some more explores stuff where I talk about different locations on the maps and things that you can find there. And the sort of thematic lead-in to stuff as well. So there'll be stuff about things that are in the Underdark, funguses of the Underdark. Then I might do a video on Zugdmoy as a demon lord, or Dewblex or something like that. Ah, that's a good question. Yeah. Volcano shark. I don't actually know if a Nightwalker would spawn if you ported a Demful or Demon to the negative energy plane. Presumably something would happen. And the Fiend would die, yes. Definitely. What's my favourite Spelljammer enemy? Probably the Beholders, actually. Well, the king that crawls, Torog, is a 4th edition thing. So a lot of people don't recognize the 4th edition lore as being anything that's going to last any length of time. So I don't talk about Torog because he's perfectly well explained in the lore that exists for 4th edition. Yeah, Jason Voorhees is a classic Revenant from for 5th edition. Oh, okay. A Boule mount. That's daring. Oh, okay. That's a good idea, Aaron. How tough? A Beholder's considered very tough. They're some of the toughest monsters in the game. They're really just, they're more than anything, they're a solo beast that can take on a group of adventurers. So also is the Marilith, which I'll be talking about soon. Mariliths are easily some of the most wicked melee opponents that you can possibly face. Are you kidding, Dibba? You have a sentient humanoid elephant race in there's, yeah, you could actually just base it off the GIF, or what else? Ogres, I suppose. I mean, it's really just a matter of a couple of ability score points and like one special ability. Lore-wise, can an archdevil be redeemed? They're not. They're immortal, right? So, no, not really, because they don't see themselves as anything that needs to change. As far as they're concerned, they're still basically celestials. Yeah, a beholder can wipe a party in 60 seconds if they're not prepared. Thanks. Neogia are awful. Yep, that's true. A mummy lord riding a giant mummy crocodile. Decent. I like it. A mummy gnome on an ibex. It's probably, if I have missed your questions, just repost them. Can they change their alignment? No, not really. Not while they're in the 9 hells. They'll get their asses handed to them. Like, they can't go from lawful to chaotic in the 9 hells and still remain sane, really. Orcus is no. So all of the demons have got a. They're completely self-absorbed, and they believe that they believe that they're the most important beings in the universe. So Orcus believes that the only way to fix the universe is to kill everything, and for him to rule over it as a lord of a completely silent universe where everything is dead. So he's kind of like Thanos in that regard. Yeah, anything can wipe a party. 3 kobolds. There's going to be some kick-ass kobolds, man. Yeah, mummy, anything is amusing. Hey, Samuel. X-Poison! Hey, Trey. No, I haven't read the Dresden Files. I've heard that they're very good. Are they good undead creatures? Yes, there are. The Bale Norn, for instance, are good liches. They're dedicated to their community. So if you're against their community, then they'll be very evil to you. But they don't act in an evil fashion towards the community that they protect. So they are driven to undeath through duty. So it's still not a pleasant existence for them. Yeah, the elf liches. But there's also one instance at least of a dwarven lich. Do you base your knowledge from D&D wikis? I've been playing since 1994, but I come to you for lore. Yes, I base it on wikis. I go to the original articles in Dragon Magazine. I've got pretty much access to everything Dungeons and Dragons that's ever been printed. Usually it's a matter of going to the source and finding it, and if the information in a wiki hasn't been, like if there's a citation that's needed for it and they haven't provided the resources that they've got the information from, I generally don't trust it. But yeah, so I usually go to the main Wikipedia and also the Forgotten Realms Wikipedia, which I consider to be the best. The homebrew stuff is generally not that great. Like, for instance, some of the obscure dragon breeds, I had a lot of trouble with running into information that was all homebrewed stuff, particularly like with yellow and brown dragon and stuff. It was kind of difficult. And people have asked me for like videos on Acererak and various other famous wizards and things like that, and even Wizards of the Coast in their D&D Beyond video, they were talking about how all over the place that lore is for Acererak, because he's been depicted in so many different ways, and every single author that's talked about him has reinvented him, sort of. Yeah, it was Dwarven Lich. It was from a novel, I think it was, and he almost became calcified like stone. Oh well, if you go into a kobold territory without checking for traps, you're bound to get your ass handed to you. What race is the most dangerous as a undead? I don't know. Which is stronger, a vampire who's the equivalent of a 20th level wizard, or a lich the equivalent of a 20th level wizard? I'd probably go with vampire, just because the vampire has got it can turn into mist, and it's got more means of like mind controlling you and things like that. Like a lich is hard to kill, but a vampire is more actually immediately dangerous to you, I think, if you're not prepared for a vampire. If you think you're going into a tomb after a vampire and it's a lich, then you're going to be in trouble too. Yes, there can be vampire dragons. If you're the sort of person who applies a vampire template to a monster, then for sure. I don't see anything wrong with using templates for 5th edition, really. I can't remember the name exactly, Adam. Druga. I think that might be from something else. From like Dragonborn or something. What do you call it? Oblivion. Bethesda's game. Whatever they call it. What do I think has got the best chance of conquering or destroying the Prime Material Plane, or Faerun? The Faerim actually had a pretty good chance of that. There's also Deeper Masker, which may return, the ancient Mascari Empire. There's also just incursions of demons, which have got a particularly bad chance of that happening. What else? Or just plagues and disease. There could be another incident where more orcs get ported into the world. Yeah, a lich is essentially questing after immortality. If you want good info on famous wizards, read the corresponding books available. I learned a ton about Elminster as a potential ally, as well as Blackstaff of Waterdeep. Yeah, for sure. There are vampire beholders, yeah. Most deadly undead. Atropos would take that one, yeah, probably. So you basically just get the template, for the listing for a dragon and the listing for a vampire, and you swap around stuff. Well, Vecna's beyond deadly. He's a god now, so. Yes, you can definitely have a drow character with good alignment. Any race that you can use as a character class, as a character race, a playable character, needs to be able to have any alignment, because you should have the ability. Draugr, I see. Third edition is the best place to find templates for stuff. 3.5 edition, they had templates for everything. Yeah, started off with Savage Species. They came out with a system for for applying templates and stuff, but they're kind of leaning that way to begin with. And I think it was a perfectly workable system because it allowed infinite variety. So you best pick and choose and combine different things. Chaos beasts, that sort of stuff. Drow are evil, that's true. Sturge is just mosquitoes for dragons. Yeah, that's a good description. Hail to the keg. Alhoon Vampire Mind Flayer is just the fun for the whole family. Yeah, true. Hey Trevor. Keg poison. Would Orcus or Vecna's divine power over undead work on Atropos? You mean the planet-sized undead? No. I'm gonna go with no on that one. It's just too stupendously huge. Atropos is basically an undead primordial. Yeah, you have a perfect case in point in Driss Steward. Yeah. Yeah. People have been asking me to make a video about Loth as well, but it's going to conflict a lot with the current 5th edition lore, which I've just been reading actually. So I'm reading through the Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes and talking about the genesis of the elves, because I'm trying to figure out how they just completely got rid of the creator races for 5th edition, which is very interesting, because where did the Lachey come from? Were they the perfect elves that, or were they a Fey creature that was in the Feywild when the elves arrived and took on their forms? Were the Lachey the original creatures that the elves imitated their physical form? Was that like Corellon went, yeah, they look like a good option, so you're going to look like these now? And the Lachey are like, what? Maybe. Yeah, there should be a pirate template. It's really a set of skills. Yeah, templates save you a lot of money. I'm not against like making your game as cheap as possible. I am very much in favor of supporting the company and making sure that it doesn't go under, but they're doing all right. They're doing fine. Better now than ever. Certain groups are pandering to identity politics, which is fine because Dungeons and Dragons represents every different branch of our society. Everybody can play Dungeons and Dragons, so there's no point worrying about it. You're not going to keep anybody out or be proactively inclusive. They're either going to play Dungeons and Dragons or not, and it's nobody's choice whether they do so. It's a matter of like freedom of expression at its most core principle. Dungeons and Dragons is a game of imagination and ideas and communication and freedom to associate with each other. That's, you can't control that, nor should you. No, I haven't read the Empire trilogy, I don't think. Any idea for creating your own custom archdevils? Think about a particular motivation for an immortal creature, what it wants to achieve. And then think about other archdevils that would get in the way of that. And then that forms the basis of who that person is and what their conflicts are. Hobgoblin Inquisition, yeah, exactly. That's right. Dungeons and Dragons will be forever. So, yeah. So the Drow, the Dark Elves weren't Drow from the outset. They were the Illitheri. So they were a part of Elven society. So they were in the Elven form before the Drow were outcast. So that's not very clear in the way that they depicted in the 5th edition stuff there. So there was a distinct moment, 10,000 minus 10,000 DR, where the Illitheri ceased being the Illitheri, and they were cursed by, basically, Corellon said, right, I'm allowing you to exile them, cast whatever spells you wish. And they were exiled from the sunlight and went underground. And that's where the phase rest energy came from as well, from that mythal that prevents them from teleporting from the Underdark back to the surface. Yeah. Yep. They don't need blood to survive. They crave it with every inch of their being. It's a supernatural hunger. I mean, they're dead. They don't have a metabolism. So if they don't get blood, they go insane. Even more so. Nice. Welcome to the colour stream. So yeah, my attitude towards Dungeons & Dragons lore is Wizards of the Coast, I will occasionally conflict with what Wizards of the Coast is currently publishing. That's because they are they're getting a little bit lazy, I think, in some regards. But they're also playing the we don't want to overcomplicate things for the new folks, which I think is a mistake. These days, in particular, people are much more accepting of having a resource full of information that they can plumb through. Particularly the younger generation. The younger generation has been raised on having ready access to information. So they're pretty good at sifting through and finding good information. And I don't think they'll appreciate being told something which isn't necessarily in tune with the older edition's lore. Stuff has been like excluded. So yeah, the Demi-Lich is supposed to be more powerful than like a Lich. So it can be a bit annoying when they do things like that. I don't know if it's a completely apt description of Atropos as being a living planet stillbirth. It's a massive entity of undeath that's taken on a planetoid form and just basically cruises around, kind of like whatchamacallit, Ego from Guardians of the Galaxy. He's taken on a planet form. Lack of blood could be weakening for a D&D vampire, but there's nothing in the stats that says going without blood is going to weaken them. It's like, if you read the listing in the monster manual, that would be entirely lore based. So that would be your lore that you apply to the vampire, but it doesn't say anything in there about their need for blood. Oh, definitely Aria Servitor's Cleric Quintet are very good. I read those a while ago. There's lots of D&D stuff without Dark Elves in it. Don't actually know enough about Weejas to make a determination, but Orcus is very strong. Don't forget though that Orcus is just a demon lord. He's not a god. So technically Vecna could kill Orcus at this point. Well, no, Stim, you can play a Revenant, for sure. That's basically a playable undead character. Yep. Well, I mean, Wendigos are more supernatural than a Sasquatch, and a Sasquatch is basically the Yeti from the Monster Manual. Yeah. Dragonlance is devoid of drow. That's true. Are there drow in Greyhawk? Why would there be? Is there? Pike'll Bulger Shoulder. Yep. A skeleton? Really? It's not. I mean, it might be within the same power scale as a regular player character, but it doesn't have any scope for growth. It's not. It's not really. What can you do? You can't talk. You just want to kill everything. No, I'm slowly working my way towards covering Ravenloft and the demi-plane of Dread. Because yeah. I've got the map of the demi-plane. I've got all the written stuff for it. It's just a matter of reading all that stuff at the same time as I'm making my regular amount of videos. So Greyhawk has drow. How does that work? What's the origin story there? Do they even bother with origin stories in Greyhawk? I would argue, Inquisitor Thomas, that redacted. Am I excited for the new Undermountain book? Yeah. I'm excited for any new products. Hey Carlos, Ao is the overgod of Dungeons & Dragons, so he's the one that basically determines, he's the one that is the standoffish all-father of all of the gods in Forgotten Realms. That entire pantheon of group of gods over top of Faerun. But it's a lot of people say that Ao is basically the DM, which is true. So same with the Lady of Pain. The Lady of Pain is also the DM. Oh, is there not a Dark Elf mage in Dragonlance Raceland's Apprentice? I forget his name though. Interesting. Not a drow though. They migrated there. Ah, I see. Well, that makes sense. Ivory coins. Of course, you can homebrew a adventuring skeleton if you want. Yep. Ao is not a kind of dragon. That's Io, who's Asgarath. In fact, I'll probably just start referring to Io as Asgarath. It's less confusing. Really? Ravenloft was the thing that got you started in Dungeons and Dragons? Huh. Wampum, yep. Dark Elf is any evil elf on Krynn. Dalamar. Oh, I see. Dalamar was a Dark Elf, not a Drow. Yeah. So Drow is specifically Forgotten Realms. Otherwise, it's just a Dark Elf. Or Eleutheri. So Psionics was 2nd edition. I think Psionics has been with us ever since AD&D, actually. In different forms. It really came into its peak in 3.5 and 4th edition, I think. That's where we had the Psionics handbooks and things. Yeah, 4th edition lore says that Asgarath split into Bahamut and Tiamat, but in actual fact, Bahamut and Tiamat have always had siblings, and Bahamut's not the only platinum dragon. So all revenants in your experience have been evil. I would say that they're basically emo. Emo to the point where they're raised from the dead. Who's my favourite god in the Faerun Pantheon? Moradin, I would say. Yeah, that's my theory as well, Robert. Not a drow or dark elf because he was a lower elf. Oh, okay. Taking a break from D&D to try Pokemon. Okay. Yeah, AD&D had a percentile chance of having psionic powers. That's right, I remember playing that. It was a really low percentile chance. No, no. Primordials aren't all evil. Azathoth. It's not that different. Oh, you like Helm? So I do recommend everybody, if you want to run a game or start a game or play in a game, certainly head over to my Discord and hook up and run games through there. It's perfectly set up for it. And you've got a ready bunch of hundreds of people there already. Yeah, I'm going to do more videos on playable races. I mean, the Centaur is a playable race. So I'm good for another half month, right? Yunogo is a demon lord. Cord is around. Yep. Hey, Moondog. Hey, Smooge. I kind of talk about various D&D adventures and books and stuff as I make the videos about things because they're quite often referenced by things. And it would only be stuff that I have a personal interest in talking about. So I wouldn't take requests and things like that because that would involve me getting deeply immersed in a particular book or something like that, which would take up too much of my time. Human ability scores don't really jive with monsters, do they? They can do. Don't forget, humans are all of medium size, generally speaking, and monsters can be of giant size or large size or whatever, huge, which makes their strength score quite different. Chaotic evil characters can work with other mixed alignment parties. If you are playing that they have the same sort of goals that the other characters do. But if you roleplay them without a background or anything to constrain their behavior by like a survival type thing, then you're going to run into problems. So you can't have a character devoid of a background or like not having any attachments to the world that they're in, because then they just act in a completely chaotic and evil fashion. Which makes it both extremely hard to run that character as a DM, and also extremely hard for other players to want to even have their character associate with them, because they're perfectly in keeping with their character saying, I turn them into the authorities, or I kill him, because that's what they do. Your lawful good character will go, well, you're a criminal, and have them arrested. So in some ways, if you're running your chaotic evil character in that way against the other players, then they have every right to react in character and deal with that character as an enemy. So that's largely why a lot of DMs will just say, no, I don't want you running a chaotic evil character because you're not heroic and I want to have a heroic campaign. That's what everybody's agreed to. Yeah, the Demon Lords don't deal with the material plane because they're the abyss is constantly growing and expanding, and the Demon Lords are constantly taking over additional territory and stuff. Yeah, I'm not saying that you can't have chaotic evil at your table. I'm just saying that a group with one chaotic evil character and a bunch of neutral good characters or whatever, that wouldn't really work. They wouldn't associate with each other because the others would go, what a dick. So saying that your character is going to associate with this group of adventurers is like, well, it's poor role-playing. Why would they hang out with those characters? Right. Certainly play a chaotic character, but why do you want to play an evil character in a good campaign? Why do you want your character to clash so much with those other characters? Or if you're all playing evil characters, that's the more important question actually. If you're all playing evil characters, how do evil groups work together? How do they not turn on each other? Cruelest thing I did to my characters. Usually it's the death of an NPC that they've come to like. It was one of the cruelest things that's happened to them. But I don't go out of the way to be horrible and mean. I just put them in tricky situations on occasion. There've been a lot of TPKs which could be considered cruel. How aware were Kalimvor and Midnight of Cyric's behavior? Did they think they could redeem him? Was Cyric always like that? That's the question. People's alignments change. Evil group ruled by fear, ruled by mutual interest, greed, or a mutual enemy, or mutual protection. Particularly if you have a group that won't turn on each other because they've got contingency plans. It's like, if you kill me, then your secret will be handed in at the local post office. Your crimes will be revealed. Usually if they've done something to have their equipment destroyed, that it gets destroyed. Alignment seems to mean less and less these days, that's true. Your actions define your character. Me personally, I like it. Puts a little closer to GURPS. Yeah, also I'm from the role-playing tradition where alignment is, it's one of the metrics that you determine to reward your player for playing in character. So otherwise they're just free to do whatever they want in the game. It's an interesting challenge to play a character which makes decisions that are at odds with what you would normally do in that situation. So particularly if you're playing a cleric or something like that of a good god, and then they're confronted with achieving the goal by doing something evil, or potentially not achieving the goal because they stick with their guns and don't do an evil thing. It's a coffee stain. Yes, it's true. That's my coffee keg. Neutral evil is probably, yeah, because it's really subjective. So it's like if there's no alignments, why would you have the outer planes which are dedicated to certain worldviews and points of view? Why not just have whatever, some generic 7 heavens? Yeah, alignment does promote roleplay. It makes it a challenge. It adds the game aspect to role-playing. So, okay, you're going to choose to play this sort of character, then in this situation, this character would do this. In role-playing, the alignment gives you a guideline as to what those decisions would be. So, if you don't want to play alignments, then essentially you better know what the motivation of that character class is. Yeah. For instance, if you're playing a druid, druids for a very long time are essentially magic users or clericy type characters that were dedicated to nature, and they were always neutral. They had to be neutral, and clerics had to be lawful. Paladins had to be lawful. You couldn't be a chaotic paladin. It just didn't work. Yeah, for instance, if you were playing Palladium books, Palladium's role-playing system, and you had a set of guidelines for your alignment of your character that were quite different from D&D in a way. So you would have a set of basically role-playing rewards. So if somebody acted in a manner which was in keeping with their alignment, and it went against like just purely the objectives of whatever they were trying to achieve, particularly if it put them at odds with the rest of the group or something because they stuck with their alignment, or they made a decision based purely on what their character would do in that circumstance based on their moral compass, then you would give them an experience point reward. And if they didn't, then they would have a penalty of some kind. I'll put a link for the Discord there for you guys. Hang on a second. So this is the link for the Discord. If you click on that, it will take you directly there. Where is my keyboard? Here it is. I mean, alignment isn't... it's not one of those building blocks that you can take away from the game that will just ruin D&D. It's an optional thing, which I think is fine. Yeah. So in the past, it was much more restrictive in how you would, and like D&D has become less and less restrictive as time has gone on. And that hasn't taken away the roleplay aspect of things. It hasn't taken away the game aspect of things. It hasn't taken away the tactics and strategy of role-playing. It's opened up the game to variant storylines and styles of play. The original designers of the game had a very set idea of what the character classes were for and what they were doing, and what the idea of Dungeons and Dragons was, which was a bunch of heroes who would kick down doors and kill monsters and take back treasure, and then they would build the treasure into a slice of kingdom. It was very much focused on personal growth of that character and you know, taming the savage wilderness sort of thing. And Gary Gygax, for instance, was against the idea of players playing wizards. He thought, why would you want to play a wizard when you could play a sword-wielding Conan-esque hero or a paladin of a god or some such thing? Why would you want to play a weak-ass wizard? They're just going to get killed in the first level of the games. And so, and people argue, we want to play wizards and stuff. We want to play the spellcasters. And he's like, you put them in there, but, you know, they're weak and sickly. So the chances are they're just going to die in the first start playing. And they did, quite frequently. So it's taken a very long time for the clothies to become playable characters, really. You took a hell of a hit in the strength of your character in old games. Hello, Enzo. So yeah, as for the whole alignment debate, It's up to you whether you want to play it. But if you are playing in my games, I'll generally ignore it. It will be based on the overall roleplay of your character. If you describe your character, then I expect you to act like that character in the game. But you don't have to. You don't have to state your alignment in my role-playing games. But I certainly see why alignment was used and necessary. Yep. Alignment matters, but not really. It's been a very important part of the game. It determines the cosmic axis of things, as well as the different factions. Like for the factions of Planescape, which is a video which I should continue working on very soon. So when I start talking about the factions of Planescape, you'll understand that the philosophies of things. Very true. I do pull on this coffee like it's a beer. Why do they give monsters in 5th edition Monster Manual no alignment instead of neutral? Animals only eating and defending themselves when necessary is true neutral for me. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Because they're acting instinctually. They're not acting morally. So a cat doesn't consider the moral ramifications. It's not empathizing with a mouse. A lion isn't empathizing with a gazelle. It's not thinking about how is it feeling today. It's just thinking food. What's it going to do? Which direction is it going to run? Yeah. Yep. I'll be on the Discord pretty much now. We're past an hour, everybody. So I'm going to be wrapping this up soon. Yeah, you can become a dragon sorcerer on Athos. Your password? What password? Yeah, I only pour Foster's on my steak. So yeah. Yes, of course alignment implies a level of empathy and consciousness. Absolutely. It's the whole aspect of playing your character's moral compass. Their whole worldview. How they react to individual circumstances based on their level of empathy with somebody and their level of awareness of the ramifications of what they're doing. Well, a lion empathizes with something to understand what it's going to do in order to kill it and eat it. That's about it. But I've seen instances where lions don't consider something to be food, and they treat it like it's a member of their pride. For instance, there was a young lion cub that was hanging out with a gazelle, like bestest buddies, you know. More interesting though is dogs and cats and their sort of attitude. Like dogs are becoming more and more intelligent year by year. The language ability of dogs is increasing rapidly. Actually, they've been testing that. So a dog these days is much more empathetic and understanding of a human's point of view and the human emotional spectrum than a dog of the, say, the 1500s would have been, because we live with them in our houses as our members of our family, and they've got that whole Stockholm syndrome thing going on. So they you know, they're only exposed to you all the time. You're their only example of what it is to think and live. So they start emulating what humans do. They are still dogs, but yeah. I'm not saying the genius is flying X-Blade. But you get like an Australian cattle dog, they're wickedly smart. Dobermans, also wickedly smart dogs. Not all dogs are created equal though. A King Charles Spaniel, for instance, is an idiot. It's a gibbering idiot. Basically. Chimps have been in the Stone Age for a very long time. There's also tool using crows. Yeah. Too smart, almost. Those Australian cattle dogs. Yeah, I'd agree with that, Michael. I've seen it personally. Yeah, your background's got a lot to do with how you turn out, obviously. Clearly. That's a pretty good place to end it, really. So yeah, just a catch up end of stream. Talk about the topics where the art competition is going for another week and a half. So if you're currently doing that, you know, get onto it. The way to enter that is just to email me your artwork stuff, and by emailing that, you agree to essentially that artwork being used on the merchandise and stuff for the channel. And if you win, you get a free hoodie. So there's that. And also, if you're a professional artist and you enter into that, then I'll promote whatever website or Twitter or whatever it is you're on, obviously, because that's what I do. The upcoming vids, I've got one on the Marilith coming up. I'm going to be doing some more ecology type videos. I'm going to be doing stuff on the Planescape factions and things. And also I'm going to be finishing off a lot of the monsters in the monster manual, which I'm getting close to completing. I'm going to be running some role-playing games at some point, probably over the Discord channel and using Roll20. So that's coming up soon. And yeah, and with that, I'll probably be making adventures and stuff like that and publishing them afterwards. So after we've run those games, other people will be able to use them as well. And that's about it. Illustration, yeah. Illustration's all about practice, man. I wasn't born being able to draw. I struggle with it as well. Yeah. Don't forget the raccoons were there first. More dragons. Hey, Crafting Muse. Yeah, this is pretty much the end of it, Crafting Muse. Sorry. Cotton candy. Cats don't eat you when you die. That's a myth. No problem, man. No super chats today. Oh, sad, AJ. I will be on the Discord server as well while I write my next script. I'm going to be trying some different styled stuff based on things that people have told me what to do. I haven't even gone through the entire coffee mug. I'm about halfway through, so yeah. Cattle dogs, collies, yeah. Man, I've seen so many collies with like mental problems, nervous problems, because they're so smart and switched on. Like if they don't have something to occupy their attention, they overthink things quite a bit. No problem, Mark. All right, everybody. Catch you later. Have a good day, evening, wherever you are in the world. Happy crafting, happy gaming. Remember, be good. If you can't be good, be careful.